She wrote a whole song about Travis Kelce fucking her brains out, and I guess he actually did, because that was the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. I'm not a Swiftie. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. I don't know. Maybe she saw how great Sabrina Carpenter is doing with all the jokes and slang and whatever, and she was like, oh, I can do that too. Clearly you can't. Please don't try again.
I'm not a normal girl. I'm a cool girl. Yeah, I have sex with my boyfriend, who has a really big penis, by the way. I used to be a princess in your fairy tale, and now I'm your bad girl.
The album's problem is glaringly obvious. The problem is Taylor Swift is aging out of being a white girl. Before you scroll, let me cook. White girls don't have sex. They don't know what that is. White girls they're cute, they're adorable, they're like dolls, they're precious, they have to be protected. It's the assumption. Women having sexual freedom and willingly engaging in sex is highly associated with blackness. You can see this most clearly when it comes to things like Disney and Nickelodeon stars. Miley Cyrus, she was Hannah Montana, all-American girl. And what does she do whenever she wanted to shed the Disney image and say, hey, I'm not just a little girl anymore? She releases Can't Be Tamed in bangers.
Because it's heavily sexualized compared to a lot of her other material, and on certain songs she borrowed inspiration from black artists such as the Jackson 5. People are trying to say that because she's pairing these two things, this must mean that she is trying to break away from her whiteness and do so through a negative stereotype of black women. If you ask me, you guys are just heavily projecting how you view black women onto the rest of the world, and it's very, very telling.
She's the Shakespeare of her time. We have to dissect the lyrics. I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage. I'm a good white girl. I'm soft and demure.
I can't believe it, y'all!
I'm palatable. I'm safe. This is the foundation of white feminism. It erases intersectionality, centers white woman victimhood, and builds an entire brand off of good girl.
Now guys, people are making posts like this. I need you to see this.
But I'm not a black bitch, and I'm not a savage, but I'm scared that you might cheat on me with the black hood bitch, and she's gonna have a fat ass, and I have a flat ass, and I don't have no titties, but your last ex, she has some perky titties.
And art. I have a lot of respect for people's subjective opinions on art. I'm not the art police. It's like everybody is allowed to feel exactly how they want. And
okay guys, so Taylor Swift drops her album, right? The Life of a Showgirl. But I'm seeing something on TikTok that I thought would never happen. Her own fans are saying that it's trash, which I never thought the Swifties would do this. So I'm like, what's going on? Now look at this. This is going around. Taylor Swift's song, Opalite, and how she is jealous and insecure that before her, Travis Kelce has only dated black women. I'm like, So y'all know she dates Travis Kelce, the football player, which is very interesting. Because wasn't this song about her wanting to be with this football player? Anyway, this is his ex, Kayla Nicole. Which, if this is what Taylor's talking about, I don't know why she... Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Okay, you got a problem here. I looked at some of her exes. Calvin Harris, he's now with the black girl. Tom Hiddleston. Oh, she dated Loki? What the... Oh, damn, now he's with a black girl? I just saw Travis's exes. Maya Benberry. Of course, Kayla Nicole. Zuri Hall. Now, here's the thing. Women be knowing this. If you look at your man's past, what he's liking on Instagram, maybe his corn history, who he's dated, it does look like he's into the black women. Now I can see why people are saying this. It still might not be true, but it's just... Now guys, people are making posts like this. I need you to see this.
But I'm not a black bitch, and I'm not a savage, but I'm scared that you might cheat on me with the black hood bitch, and she's gonna have a fat ass, and I have a flat ass, and I don't have no titties, but her last ex, she had some perky titties. And I'm a insecure white girl with a flat chest, thinking that I want a man that used to date black women. And now I'm taking shots, cause he's all that I got. Oh yeah, he's all that I got. And I'm never gonna let him down, cause he's all American white man. And I'm his American white girl. And he's never gonna be down for the swirl again, because I had the crown and I won. But I'm a little insecure because he might cheat on me with a black hood woman.
So how do we go from Taylor Swift made a bad album to Taylor Swift hates black women to Taylor Swift is a Trump supporter to Taylor Swift hates Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend? You're allowed to not like an album, you're allowed to criticize an album, but the way y'all are reaching with these like analysis with Opalite, like with Canceled, like it's just like, dude, calm down. Like, and y'all won't say it, so I will, but y'all use Taylor Swift as an scapegoat to hate on women. It is literally just a history. Y'all do this every time that she releases an album, every single time. But this one is so dragged out because y'all are saying that she's racist because she doesn't like to see black women shine and stuff. She hates that Travis Kelce dated black women. She and Megan Thee Stallion, and y'all are reaching. Like, y'all are actually fucking reaching, and it's not even healthy at this point. This amount of hate is not healthy. Say you didn't like the album and move on. It's okay. Because I just feel like everyone is just so easy for everyone to just, boom, point all their hatred towards Taylor Swift. But y'all don't actually give a fuck about the stuff that y'all claim to hate her about. Y'all don't care.
Taylor Swift is obsessed with black women. Let's talk about it. Taylor Swift is obsessed with the fact that several of her exes have moved on to date black women, and she perceives this kind of conquering of Travis as an end or disruption of this pattern, and she's boasting about it in this album. Let's start with Opalite, which is very clearly about Kayla Nicole, Travis Kelce's ex-boyfriend whom he dated off and on from 2017 to 2022, and oh, Kayla Nicole happens to be black. The lyrics in Opalite could actually not be clearly more like targeting Kayla Nicole, right? It references a video that went viral a couple times in which Travis is literally berating Kayla for being on her phone. Meanwhile, she is an influencer, so that is weirdo behavior because she was working and it's very controlling, but it is very clear nonetheless that that video is referenced in Opalite. The lyric reads, "You couldn't understand it, why you felt alone, you were in it for real, she was in her phone, and you were just a pose," right? Like, Taylor could not have been more obvious and like less creative here. It's not enough to me that like Taylor is using this like crazy like worldwide medium to best a woman that like previously dated her ex. It's also the fact that like Taylor is fully aware that Kayla has received like relentless and racist harassment, oftentimes terrifying, from Swifties in reaction to the fact that she previously dated Travis. So like this is like purposefully and like blatantly violent. This song accomplishes two things at once, right? It proves the fact that Taylor Swift is obsessed with black women, and it endangers Kayla Nicole. But obviously our country is not at its best with critical thinking, so let's like analyze a different part of the song, right? So another lyric says, "But I'm not a bad bitch, and this ain't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down." So in this song, Taylor positions herself as this like unique, singular white flower that is so different from what? Black culture. And once you step back and realize the song is like final boss pick me X racism, you realize that Taylor Swift is preoccupied with like this obsession with black women, in part because Travis Kelce has predominantly dated black women in the past, and she wants to define herself as different from his past and therefore better. Again, very weird, very pick-me behavior. Taylor's not only preoccupied with this idea that Travis has historically dated black women, it's also the reality that several of her exes have moved on from her to black women. And that confounds and ultimately like enrages her, and she's so obsessed with the pattern and the idea that she had to talk about it in this album.
Taylor Swift isn't obsessed with black women just because some of her exes eventually dated black women. The idea that Taylor's somehow haunted by their later relationships is not only sexist, it's racist. As if black women are props for some white woman's story, instead of full, complex individuals living their own. Your evidence, "I'm not a bad bitch, this isn't savage," isn't a mockery of black culture. It's introspection. It's Taylor rejecting the internet's demand that every woman brand herself cold to survive heartbreak. He's saying, "I don't need to armor myself in a persona to prove I'm strong." That's not cultural appropriation. That's vulnerability. It's humanity. You're twisting Taylor Swift's art into coded messages about race. She's literally doing what every artist does, writing about emotion, identity, and growth. If anything, the only obsession is you twisting Taylor's words. Taylor's not obsessed with black women. He's not jealous of them. He's not mimicking them. She's writing for her own lens. The only thing this argument exposes is your own need to turn Taylor Swift's words into a weapon.
Taylor Swift has revealed herself to be resentful of black women, or at least deeply insecure when it comes to comparing herself to black women. In the song Opalite, Taylor is referencing Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend, Kayla Nicole. The lyrics of Opalite include, "You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night, but now the sky is opalite." So Taylor is not only using the lyrics in the song to talk about how she is so much better for Travis than his ex-girlfriend is, which is inconsiderate on its face. What did that lady ever do to you? But she is choosing to do that using the imagery of onyx, which is typically black, and opalite, which is typically white. Or in Eldest Daughter, Taylor says, "I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down." The language of bad bitch and savage are primarily associated with black women, at least in this context, especially black women in hip-hop. Both make me think of Megan Thee Stallion immediately. And there were rumors that Travis was trying to holler at Megan back in 2023, shortly before Travis and Taylor started dating. So I read this lyric as, "Sorry, I'm not a hot, cool black woman like he usually dates." Or in Wishlist, she says they want a fat ass and a baby face. Big booties are not unique to black women, but if we're all being honest here about the associations of black women's bodies over the last 400 years, big booties are and have been associated with black women. Now, could I understand why Taylor might be insecure about this? Yeah. Knowing that thousands, if not millions of people are looking at your man's exes and then looking at you like, huh? Would make me insecure too. But to be even relatively conscious of the trope of white men dating black women until it's time to settle down and have white babies, or the trope of men dating black women until they get richer or more famous, or to know the way that Kayla Nicole has been dragged to hell and back because her high-profile ex, a white man, started a very public relationship with one of the biggest pop stars in the world, a white woman, and how many people hurled racist jokes at her and black women generally for it, to know all that and still dunk on her one more time to your millions of loyal fans. For this to come up on at least 3 different songs in one album, for her to play into harmful tropes that she has to be aware of, and for so many of Taylor's fans to not notice or just not care, this album is simply not for me. There is enough thinly veiled racial resentment in the world toward black women. I don't need it in my pop bops.
Between today and yesterday, I have seen no less than 10 different videos, all ironically from random white girls, trying to call Taylor Swift's new album racist. Their evidence of such is because it's heavily sexualized compared to a lot of her other material, and on certain songs she borrowed inspiration from black artists such as the Jackson 5. People are trying to say that because she's pairing these two things, this must mean that she is trying to break away from her whiteness and do so through a negative stereotype of black women. If you ask me, you guys are just heavily projecting how you view black women onto the rest of the world, and it's very, very telling. This entire trend of hating on this album for that specific reason is just screaming white guilt. You guys are trying to earn social justice warrior points, and it's just not working because there's no actual evidence or basis to what it is that you're saying. If you think that the album sucked, I'm right there with you. But sitting there trying to call it racist or saying that she's trying to promote things like trad wife lifestyles and that she's playing into the MAGA stereotype when a lot of what she's promoting is very against the traditional lifestyle, it just makes absolutely no sense. You sound like the friend that's gone too woke. Taylor Swift promoting things like being promiscuous and sex before marriage is the exact opposite of the viewpoints and the standards that us as traditional women hold, and for you to be trying to push that onto the rest of us just because you want to sound like you know what you're talking about, you want to sound woke, you want to sound educated, you just sound silly.
There has been a lot of discourse around Taylor Swift's new album, The Life of a Showgirl. One of the most prominent critiques right now are that some of the songs are racist and microaggressive. Some people see it as microaggressive, and some people feel like there's no racism at all, that she is just talking about her experiences. But I think what a lot of people fail to realize is that the function of a dog whistle or microaggression is that it is meant to be ambiguous. Dog whistles and microaggressions are plausibly deniable on purpose. It is meant to chip away at your self-concept while absolving the perpetrator from all responsibility. You can often feel that there was something wrong with what someone said, but you can never quite pointed out. Because it is so subtle, calling it out ends up making you look crazy. The perpetrator is almost always let off as not knowing or not meaning it that way. And because of the ways that we have been conditioned, many people will side with the unknowing white person. We've been conditioned to see them as peer or as victims. Even if someone is unknowing, a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of us have been socialized through media and messages to absorb specific harmful tropes. And those specific harmful tropes impact how we see people and how we treat them. In order to understand why some of the content in Taylor Swift's new album is controversial, I think it's important to look at the history of the dehumanization of Black women in the US. And yes, before you ask, it does stem from slavery. We all know that during slavery, slave masters R-worded Black women. Slavery was justified by dehumanizing Black people, and the mistreatment of Black women was justified by dehumanizing us and giving us the stereotype of Jezebel. Jezebel is a sexually loose and immoral woman, and it painted Black women as hypersexual, loose, and seductive. This made it easier to exploit them in that way because they could just justify it by saying that they wanted it. On the other hand, white women have always been viewed as pure, feminine, delicate, and chaste. Once slavery ended and previously enslaved people had to make a life for themselves, Black men were often denied the ability to gain employment. This was often done by their white counterparts. Black women, on the other hand, were able to pick up domestic work. So when previously enslaved people made families, that meant that Black women were often the breadwinners. That also meant even if they did have children, they weren't able to take care of them because they had to work, often being forced to care for the white children of the families that they worked for. Because they were the breadwinners and because they didn't take care of their children in a traditional sense, as in a white, Western, nuclear family ideal, Black women were seen as less feminine, and because white women didn't work and stayed home, they were seen as the ideal of femininity and womanhood. This has carried out into dominant stereotypes today, where Black women are still often seen as hypersexual and masculine, while white women are still often seen as the picture of femininity as well as the beauty standard. As you already know, but I'm going to reiterate anyway, this is precisely one of the main issues with white feminism, is that it only accounts for the struggles of white women who are privileged and wield a lot of power in society, and not of the intersectional experiences of Black, Indigenous, and women of color, experience both racism and sexism, both of which intersect in complex ways even today in society. It's also precisely the issue that people have with Travis Kelce dating Black women and then marrying Taylor Swift, because it reinforces this long-held idea and standard that Black women are just for fun and white women are to settle down and marry with. And this historical context is also what makes Taylor Swift's lyrics, intentional or not, so damaging, because she compares herself to his former Black partners in ways that reinforce this dynamic and these negative stereotypes about Black women. An eldest daughter, when she says, "But I'm not a bad bitch and this isn't savage," this is a direct reference to Meg Thee Stallion's song Savage, whom it's rumored that Travis Kelce tried to get at before he started dating Taylor Swift. We know that one of Meg's main things is reclaiming her sexuality on her own terms, in a way that empowers women to be confident and to step into their power. This is part of a long tradition of Black women reclaiming their power by subverting dominant narratives. And Black women have always used the word bad bitch in order to embody that idea of empowerment and agency. And whether or not a bad bitch is Black or not, the term bad bitch or baddie is a term that refers to aesthetics that co-opt Black culture, particularly Black women. And Taylor Swift contrasts this with her insecurities as well as a sense of moral superiority. She says, "I'm never gonna leave you out, I'm never gonna let you down." She reinforces the dynamic of her being the morally superior white woman as opposed to his previous bad bitch Black girlfriends. And that reinforces the stereotype of the Jezebel, morally inferior Black woman.
So Zoe Kravitz is one of Taylor Swift's best friends. So it would be strange as a Black woman to have a racist as a Black friend, right? So right now what I'm seeing on the internet is that people are coming to the defense of Taylor Swift, and or folks are saying, yeah, Taylor has no Black friends. And then they'll say, oh, she's friends with Zoe Kravitz. And then they'll say, but she's hardly Black. And I've seen an interview with Zoe after the fires, the LA fires, and she actually talks about how Taylor Swift opened her home up, not only to her, but also to her mother, the Lisa Bonet. So I suppose the point I'm making is, if Taylor Swift was a racist, why would the Lisa Bonet stay at Taylor Swift's house? Why would the Lisa Bonet allow her daughter to be best friends with someone who's so clearly MAGA? Why would the Lisa Bonet allow her daughter to spend time with someone who likes to put out microaggressions towards Black women? Like, I just need everyone to use their critical thinking. You want her to be a racist. You want her to be. To the point where now you're accusing this Black woman of not being Black just to prove the point. That's crazy.
The rule of show business is if it's the first week of my album release and you are saying either my name or my album title, you're helping. And art, I have a lot of respect for people's subjective opinions on art. I'm not the art police. It's like everybody is allowed to feel exactly how they want. And what our goal is as entertainers is to be a mirror. Oftentimes, an album is a really, really wild way to look at yourself, right? What you're going through in your life is going to affect whether you relate to the music that I'm putting out at any given moment. And what I often love seeing my fans say is, I used to be someone who didn't like relate to Reputation, and now that I've been through some other things in my life, that's my favorite album. Or I used to be a like fearless girly, now I'm obsessed with Evermore. Like, and we're doing this thing for keeps. Like, I have such an eye on legacy when I'm making my music. I know what I made. I know I adore it. And I know that, like, on the theme of what the Showgirl is, all of this is part of it.
Taylor Swift, come to the front, honey. Swifties, don't panic, but I need you to get this to your fave, okay? I know I don't like being in young people's business, but this is an emergency. Trust me, it takes an older black married lady to see the signs. This entire album is a red flag, a major red flag. Listen, I know the mid-30s is difficult. You're still trying to hang on to being like a young gun. I mean, either she's being put through the mattress or she's trying to convince us that she's being put through the mattress on the regular. That can mess with your brain chemistry, girl. I understand. There's some stuff you don't get on here doing. Listen, and Taylor, you can't compete with the baddiness of like Kayla Nicole, honey. We all caught the subliminals, okay? You may have gotten the ring, sweetheart, but for those of us that have been watching, don't do it. I'm telling you, people like you, marriage really does have to be a business arena. This is why I assume that she doesn't have like an older, just black kind of auntie sister friend. Somebody get this information to her. Just tell her how it works. White men that just love black women, you know, they do a lot of cosplaying, and when they're ready to settle down, they go get Miss Tridell, KKG. Men like that, their proclivities, their desires, they don't change. They just intensify. You deprive him of his Kayla Nicole long enough. And listen, I know I'm old and I'm late and I don't know all the Taylor lore, but I have been married for 30 years. I'm the oldest of 5 sisters. I have 2 daughters. My life is literally surrounded by women, so I know what I'm talking on the street. And the children say, Travis ain't never dated nothing but black women. And we all saw Kayla Nicole's dynamic, energetic performance on stage with Chris Brown. Don't do this to yourself. Y'all don't believe me when I tell you I was a matchmaker in another life. But Taylor, if you were dead set on going along with this and you feel the need to talk about how your fiance about to be husband is putting you through the mattress and you're in awe of his redwood and how it's changed you and all that, girl, you have to find a way to like be very subtle and grown womanish in how you talk about this. Go back and listen to and watch the video for Beyonce's ego. Beyonce was definitely on her grown woman. She wanted to talk about like her man's endowments and how much she enjoys it, but you gotta be subtle about it. If you want to get explicit, get like a feature. You get like a rapper to come in. You know who would be great for Taylor Swift? A neurosurgeon. Or somebody like that. Like, they could still be big and tall, but they're going to be more conducive to the kind of married life somebody like you wants to lead. I know what I'm talking about. This album is a warning sign. Somebody needs to help her like navigate this and cross the bridge from her persona as this young woman into a grown woman soon. This marriage, this engagement is a mistake. I don't mean to talk misery over people's lives, but I know what a good match is, and this is not a good match. This is a dude you date. Don't marry this man. Somebody find Taylor Swift like a nice neurosurgeon, a pediatric emergency doctor, somebody like that. I don't even like Taylor's music like that, but I like her politics and I like how she came out strong for Kamala. And I also know when women are about to make a big mistake, and I also understand the mid-30s are difficult. I can't even imagine what that's like being like a pop star, but there are women that have done it before you, Taylor. Take note. Somebody get this to her. Somebody help her.